So Sonic Prime Season 3 released on January 11th, but does it hold up to the standards of Sonic Prime Season 1 and 2? I'll be going over all of my opinions on that, but first things first, this will include loads of spoilers, so if you don't want spoilers, make sure you watch the series first, then come back here. So starting off with the plot, it picks up right where Season 2 left off, and Sonic and Shadow have to escape Ghost Hill, which is crumbling into ruin. So then they go into the other Shadow spaces, they build an alliance to stop Nine, and get back to Ghost Hill, which they turn back into Green Hill. So not a bad plot by any means. I think that it definitely does accomplish what they were trying to pull off. I do think that it was lacking of a bigger ending though, which I think that one thing, or two things really, are to blame in particular. The first one, and this one got old a lot quicker than I thought it would, but Sonic, it was just not treated well in the series. If this is post-Advance 3 Sonic, then that means that this is post-Adventure 2 Sonic. So if Sonic's just running into things, if it's a new location, alright, like Season 1 it was acceptable. But in Season 2, it felt just not as okay. Season 3, I don't feel like that was really good direction to go in because Sonic would be very familiar with it. And you know, the official Netflix After School channel made a 4-minute compilation of Sonic just straight falling. So I mean, I guess it's targeted to a younger demographic, but you know, I really don't think they should have treated Sonic so harshly. And you know, some moments it was funny. Like my favorite, if I had to choose a moment where like the favorite thing of Sonic falling, it was in the final episode, I believe, or the next to last one, and it was where Sonic was falling, but he wasn't actually falling because he had these shoes that had like these things, these platforms that you could put in midair, and he was screaming as you know he usually does when he falls, and then he was behind Nine and he said splat, and then he just, you know, kicked some butt kind of more or less on Nine, and it was good. I liked that. But there were still way too many of those scenes. I think that those should have been edited a lot. But speaking of being edited a lot, something else that I was definitely not a fan of, the fight scenes were really repetitive. And don't get me wrong, like they were pretty good at first, but especially with the robotic birds, they just kept using the same sound effects and it kind of got old, and you know, that kind of applies to Sonic 2 with the scream being used over and over again. I don't even know if they archived it. It probably did. But the birds were the worst, I think, and it really kind of made Chaos Sonic back in Season 2 really not look very good, because if they can just defeat all these guys really easily, then Chaos Sonic was made a lot less important. And I think with the fight scene, they took up a lot of the last half of the episodes of Season 3, and that's really a shame as well, because when you look at Season 2, Sonic had, and you know, this doesn't have an official name, I think the fans have resorted to calling it Prismatic Sonic, but Sonic got a super form, and you know, it's pretty cool because you know, you use the shards, Paradox Prism, and Sonic got a super form, and I think that that was the peak of Season 2, but I still don't think that the fight scenes were all that necessary. I think that there could have been a lot less. I'll go into the characterizations next though. I think that the characterizations, I think that they were handled pretty well. Starting off with Sonic, I think that his character was pretty accurate. I think that Devin Mack Jr., the voice for Sonic, I think that he's trying to go with the Ryan Drummond sound, and that would make sense because if this is post-Advance 3, I do think that that would make sense. So I would say good job to him because he really did do a good job. I think that aside from the screaming, I guess, for like him falling, and which wasn't even his fault because that was the direction, the voice direction. I think that he did a really good job on his part, and I think he was a convincing Sonic. Even in Season 1, when he hadn't done any Sonic voices before, I think that he was doing a really good job at doing the Sonic voice, and I got used to it pretty quickly. But yeah, Sonic's characterization, pretty good, except for the fact that he just ran into things a lot. I think that they capitalized on his overconfident side a lot of the time, which, you know, is good. I like a character that isn't perfect, but I feel like there should be a little bit of an equilibrium between, you know, current Sonic, game Sonic, like Frontier Sonic, which obviously isn't the Sonic in the show, and then Advance 3 Sonic. The confidence there, the overconfidence, that is. As for Shadow, I liked it a lot. At first, I was kind of thinking, you know, Shadow, he is kind of an edgelord, so I wasn't that sure of what to think of him being so nice to Sonic a lot of the time. Maybe it's just because it was his problem he was nice or something, but then I remembered the only reason that he's really as edgy as he is because he lost Maria. So he did have a nice side of the point, so I think I like seeing the nicer side of Shadow. I do prefer the edgier side. I think it just matches his character design and overall just vibe better. But nice side of Shadow, you know, I kind of like to see it. I think it was pretty good. Knuckles felt a lot like Knuckles, especially Renegade Knuckles. Rouge as well. I really like how she was as well. I do think that it would have been cool if they brought back the Sonic X actor for Rouge, for Sonic Prime, and you know, even Sonic Dream Team and all of the mainline Sonic things, and not mainline for that matter, because I'm gonna be honest, like, I don't think anybody can really beat her voice acting for Rouge. Tails was pretty good. We didn't really get to see a whole lot of his character aside from 9, which leads into 9, and I think that 9 was pretty good. I can't really compare him to the original Tails because they were just, I mean, he just flat out said that he and Tails are just different, just straight different. But I do think that he was pretty generally fitting for Tails. Like, I think just the whole genius and stuff, and you know, it would make sense, honestly, in an alternate dimension that Tails would have a bunch of robotic tails. He'd be knowing how to use the prism shards and stuff. I think that was pretty similar to the original Tails. As for Amy, I feel like she was not really obsessive over Sonic, which she hasn't been in recent games. But again, if we're talking Advance 3, that's not too long after Adventure 2, so she would have still been kind of obsessed over Sonic timeline-wise. So next, I think we should talk about the things that I liked about Sonic Prime Season 3. I really did like that the Eggmen had to team up with everyone. And I thought that it was interesting that they didn't just make 9 say, hey, I want to go to the Grim, and I want to make this whole world, and then he never does it. I can see how they would have done that pretty easily, and he didn't exactly. He was just kind of starting out like on the basis, the formation of everything. But, you know, I think that that was pretty good to actually show him trying to make everything. And the border was interesting. I was kind of questioning the existence of the border, but, you know, it was pretty good. I think that that was like maybe just like to contain the power or something. I think that Shadow was his best in Season 3. I think that Sonic was also his best in Season 3. And I think that 9, I want to say he was the best in Season 3 as well, but it's kind of weird because then, like, I have to be considering, like, I guess the best of Villainous 9 wouldn't be saying very much because Villainous 9 was only at the very end of Season 2 and not all of Season 3, so that wouldn't be saying very much. But I did definitely like the idea of the borders going in, the shadow spaces getting destroyed. I thought that that was a really interesting way to put it. It's not like this place is just put out of commission. It is just done. Like, Ghost Hill getting destroyed was really hard to watch, but I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That is a good thing. And I like the holes kind of in the sky that were kind of leading to space or whatever you call it. I don't know if you'd call that the shatter space, I guess. And I think something else that was interesting, it was kind of a little bit questionable at times, but I do think that it was generally something I enjoyed more than didn't enjoy, was that the giant floating 9 head just talking to Sonic wherever he is. It was just kind of funny. Like, does he have a connection to be there? Probably so. It was just kind of funny. And then back on the border closing in, like it's like Fortnite or I guess Boxing.io for all you people who have been on my channel. That was pretty interesting. I think that really put the stakes a lot higher, just kind of like forcing them to be with 9 and to work things out, because 9 apparently was the only one to know how to use the Paradox Prism. So if they had ended 9, which obviously wouldn't really be good for a kids show, but if they had done it, then they wouldn't have really had a way out, and I guess everything would just kind of cease to be, which isn't great. And I really did like as well that big laser on the egg ship, the Eggman ship. But that huge laser, it was so useful, and like when it tore through that big the Cat robot, and then when it also tore through 9's base as well, that was really great. I was kind of wondering why they couldn't use it again, but I'm assuming that it would have taken up a lot of resources, so that's probably why. Also rip to it getting blown up. And of course, you can't forget the very end as well, when Sonic was just back in Green Hill with everyone. It makes me wonder if the shatter spaces are still out there. Like, I guess they're just probably never going to be touched again, but they're just out there somewhere. And yeah, well, you know, now that I think about it, do they just not exist now? I think the shadow spaces, they might even just not exist now, because it time traveled back after Sonic got back to the regular world. Oh yeah, and yeah, that reminds me of another thing that I liked. If Sonic was kind of fading out because Ghost Hill was going, so then now I'm acting in Sonic's from that dimension, so Sonic's going out too, and then that made it so Shadow was taking him back, and just in time thing, that was also cool. But yeah, shadow spaces, I don't even know if they exist now, because when everybody got taken back to Ghost Hill, by everybody I mean Sonic and Shadow, it time traveled to before the shadow spaces were even a thing. Sonic broke the Paradox Prism. So yeah, let that sink in, I guess. But yeah, I also love how Sonic, when they were still saying the Sonic no, and Sonic was back in Green Hill, and he jumped just above the Paradox Prism, and then he just hugged Eggman's neck. That was great. Everybody was so confused, and it was a great way to end it. And that ties into the next thing before I end this video, and that would be, will there be a Sonic Prime Season 4? Well, you see, it has actually been confirmed to not happen. Unfortunately, there are no current plans to make a Sonic Prime Season 4 in the words of the guy who made the show, I think. I'll put it up on screen right now. Overall, though, I think that it would have been really cool if they had multiple Sonics. That is my one thing that I was hoping would happen the whole series, but I just kind of secretly knew it wouldn't happen. I think that the series would have gotten way more popular. And I know in like the first week it got over like 5 million views. But yeah, multiple Sonics, that would have been really cool. I mean, I know that it'd be difficult, and like they probably, I don't know if they would have had the budget and everything to get Ryan and Jason and Roger on there. And then there's the difficulty of it's before Jason, and it's supposed to be Ryan Sonic, and then Roger's not there yet. So in that light, I do understand why they did that. But I mean, hey, they brought Jacksepticeye on there to be the pirate guy, so like they're doing cameos, so they could have. But anyways, I think that's gonna do it for my review. So yeah, be sure to let me know what you think of Sonic Prime Season 3 in the comment section below. And do you think that it was better than Sonic Prime Season 2 and Season 1, or do you think that one of the other seasons is better? Be sure to let me know. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.